So thank you everyone. I'm Meg, this is Jo. We're from Alicia Wellness Retreat. Just pre-recording a yin yoga sequence that you can do at home, literally without any props. This sequence is designed to create a bit of space around the hips, around the hamstrings, and also around the spine. We can find we have a lot of tension into these areas. So it's a really nice way just to release it with some breath work, staying in the shapes for anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. The most important thing is to make sure that we are not in pain. Uncomfortable is perfect when we're practicing yin, but we most definitely want to find a space where we can soften into it to let go of any tension or resistance and allow ourselves just to be in the shape for what it is. So we're going to start our practice with a little bit of breath work this morning. Now, if you do have something, whether it be a block or a bolster, I really invite you to sit onto the object. So we'll create a long spine. You can also lie down on your back, or you can sit on your knees in hero pose. It doesn't matter where you are. And we're actually going to start with a breath called a box breath this morning. So Jo and I did a different breath the other day. I think it was yesterday, I can't remember. But today we're going to experience this box breath breathing, which is also really great for kids. So when we breathe into this box breath, we want to create a box, etc., with our breath. So we'll inhale for the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, exhale for the count of 4, and then hold for the count of 4. What I want you guys to think about is actually breathing from the belly and the diaphragm like a wave all the way up to the lungs. And then as you exhale, everything starts to surrender. So finding a comfortable space, whether that's seated, whether that's lying down, doesn't matter. And I want you just to shut down your eyes. Just bring yourself to your surroundings. Notice maybe for the first time today what it feels like to be in your body. Notice any areas of tension. Relaxing the face, the jaw. Softening the shoulders down the spine. Notice your hips, your left and your right hip. Notice the weight of the femur bones. And then pay attention to how this next breath in feels through every cell in your body. Let yourself soften on your exhale. So collectively we'll take a deep breath in through the nose. And a breath out. Starting this box breath, breathe in from the belly for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold 3, 2, 1. Fully in. Hold. Exhale. Hold. I invite you to keep going on your own. Breathing in for the count of 4 or 5 or maybe 6. Holding for the same amount of time. Breathing out for the count of 4, 5, or 6, and then exhaling for the same amount of time. So just gently drawing this box with your breath. As you hold the air at the top, feel your whole body blow up like a balloon. And after you have exhaled the air, hold with no air at the bottom of the breath. As you move through this breath, notice a sense of expansion, curiosity, a sense of openness as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, is it possible to let go of anything in your day that doesn't serve you? A conversation, an email, a text message, any worry or doubt or fear. You are now here. So breathe in how you want to feel right now. Maybe it's calm, relaxed, present, gratitude. And then breathe out. Let go of something that doesn't serve you. Experience 5 more rounds of breath. You know, the Dalai Lama speaks on compassion. He says that compassion and gentleness is our natural state. And any time that we are triggered in our environment, where we feel judgmental, we feel resentful, we feel like we are comparing, or we feel the need to bite back, we need to use our triggers as our teachers and look inside our own hearts as to what it is we need to heal. In every single moment, you can give yourself permission to come back to compassion, to keep your heart open, receptive, and you'll give permission for other people to do the same. Take one more breath in, and a breath out. Just gently and slowly, we'll start to shift into our first shape. So we're going to come into caterpillar shape today. I think we're going to get a bit of length in the hamstrings. So I'm going to turn on my side while Joel will be facing forward. This is where the bolster and any cushions might come in handy. So if your hamstrings are tight, right, it's really important to know that you can bend the knees, or you can roll up something and put it underneath your tailbone, so it's going to tilt you forward. So bolsters can be good for that as well. I'll just demonstrate what I mean. So sitting on like the edge of a bolster can actually allow me to find a little bit of space to fold forward so I can get into the hamstrings without putting too much pressure on the backs of my legs. If your hamstrings feel good today, then it's also really nice to bring the bolster and pop it on your legs to provide a little bit of support. So I'm not going to use a bolster today, but this is more than welcome so that you are supported as you come down into caterpillar pose. So please bending the knees if you need to. This is about rounding the spine. I'm not actively reaching forward. This is a passive shape. So taking an inhale, and as you exhale, let the palms face up and slowly start to peel forward. And this is just until we start to feel this in the hamstrings. So in this first minute of this shape, I want you to tune into your shoulders, your jaw and your face, and let go of any tension that you might be holding onto in this space. I know when I first started here, especially in this pose, I would want to be more further forward. You know, I wanted to touch my toes, and I would start a self-dialogue of why can't I reach there, or it should be further forward. Yin is passive. It's the feminine energy. It is soft. It is receiving. It allows our nervous system to shift into our parasympathetic, the place of rest and digest. So as we come into this shape, it does not matter how far forward you are, but you should be feeling a little bit of a stretch down the backs of your legs and your hamstrings and flexion into the spine. Just shut down your eyes and let yourself just to be. Wherever you have landed is perfect. It's a really beautiful time to connect with your breath. So as you land in this pose, I invite you to focus on a steady inhale for 4. And then just a steady exhale for 4. Just slowly letting the breath ride through you like a wave. In yin yoga, we have 3 tenets that we need to look after that make up the practice. The first one is coming to your edge, so the place where you feel. It is never ever about pushing into pain. And you'll notice that over time that edge will change. It's about letting your body soften into it and not to use the muscles. Trying to get into the connective tissue and fascia that lie underneath. The second tenet is we stay for time. So I haven't told you yet, we're going to be here 15 minutes. No, I'm kidding. So we're going to be here for anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. And it's about surrendering to the time. We find ourselves thinking, how long am I going to be here for? What's for dinner? You know, what emails we have to get back to. It is then up to us to come back to being present, here practicing yoga. So I invite you, if you find yourself getting lost in thoughts, on your next breath in, breathe in the words, I know I am breathing in, and I know I am breathing out. And just stay with that. The third and last tenet is about being still. So if I was to fidget through the shape, it would mean I'm moving muscles. We want to try and be as still as possible for the duration of the shape. We're going to take 5 more long breaths here. Take one more full breath in and stay for your exhale. Please do this ridiculously slow. Engage the belly to the spine, and inch by inch start to restack your vertebrae one at a time on top of the other. There is no rush. You gently come up to seated, just taking your time. Eventually, from that position of seated, just slowly bending one knee, slowly bending the other. And from this position, just rocking the knees side to side. So just a really slow movement through the hips. If you feel like being more still here through that transition, feel free just to pause. That can be quite nice, especially after our hamstrings, to create some really slow, steady movement after the shape. Cool. So we're actually now going to put our spine in the other direction. So we're going to come into an extension. So it's called sunbaker pose. So the bolster or the cushion or whatever it is that you have, find something where you can prop your elbows up. A pillow is great if you don't have a bolster. The bolster is going to go behind us, and the most important thing with this pose is we actually start with our bum really close to the bolster. The elbows wrap inwards. So we want to make sure we have no chicken wings out to the side. So with the elbows wrapping inwards, we then place the elbows onto the bolster, just like we're sunbaking. Should be kind of nice in winter. Yeah. So we have got the heater on here actually, so it's quite nice. The feet are bent, the knees are bent, and what I'm trying to do here is now open the chest. So we can get really, really tight shoulders, of course. So stress, anxiety, tension, plus phones, plus whatever it is we use, we're constantly in this protracted state. So we really want to try to get the scapula back, open the shoulders and open the space of the heart. So from here, this might be enough for some of you. If you want more, you push into the heels and you slide your bum forward. And by doing that, you start to open the front of the shoulders. So this is more than enough for me right now. And I like to bring the soles of my feet together to come into our butterfly shape as well, so that we can get more bang for our buck out of the pose, get into the adductors and the hips. And then that's the shape here. So you should be feeling a stretch down the front of the delt and into the chest. And we got that over here. So it's a super nice shape. I get questions, I was like, where does my head go? So I want you to be intuitive with what you do with your head. I like to kind of just let it sink down into the neck. Some people really like to open it up. I'll leave that up to you. So just shutting down your eyes. And we're here for about 3 minutes. We're not here for too long because it can be quite intense. When we do feel the intensity in some of these shapes, you know, our instinct is to tense up or to want to run away from it. I invite you to ask yourself the question, what would happen if I surrendered to it? What would happen if I yield to the tension? So more tension only creates more tension. So by just letting it be, by just allowing the space, yes, this is uncomfortable right now. We know that all moments will pass. Nothing lasts forever. So give yourself permission to surrender, to soften, and to yield to the intensity. And see if that release of tension is now reflected back in your bodies. Come back to gently noticing your breath move through your bodies as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, especially in this shape, it's really easy to connect the breath to the body. So as you inhale, feel your belly lift, your ribcage expand, and then your lungs inflate. And as you breathe out, just feel yourself melt back down. So we just have 1 more minute here, or about 6 more breaths, so take your time. Taking 1 more full breath in. Stay for your exhale. To come out of this, firstly, bring those knees back up slowly. Keep the pressure in the elbows as you push through the soles of your feet and slide your bum back to the bolster. From here, release the elbows, push the bolster back with the elbows and land your head on the bolster so you come down to the ground. Place your hand on your belly, place your hand on your heart and just stay. These rebound shapes are super important in here. So we allow the connective tissue and fascia to reorganize themselves. They say that through the practice of yin and the time we spend in the shapes, the connective tissue and fascia stretches out like a gummy bear snake. Right, we feel this lengthening, we feel everything start to soften. So when we come out of the shape, it is important to be still so that all of that connective tissue and fascia can slowly reorganize itself, and so that we can experience this like new change, this new energy, this release of hyaluronic acid and nutrient-rich blood that moves through the body after every shape. Take a breath in and a breath out. So we're going to just come into our hip stretch. So we're going to just rock the knees to the side and come up to seated. Now there's going to be two variations for this one. I'm going to show one in a supine position and then one in traditional pigeon. So with our traditional pigeon pose, blocks are really helpful, or a cushion underneath the glute. So we're going to start on the left leg, bringing the left knee over towards the left wrist, extending that right leg out long. So if I was to go from the side here, what I'm looking for is my hips are square. So if we find that the left hip is right off the ground and we're not square through our hips, place the block underneath that hip, and what you'll find is you'll be able to square off your hips really nicely here to then be able to start to fold forward to your degree into pigeon pose. So Joe's in the pigeon pose here, so you're welcome to take that variation. If that doesn't work for your back, or you would prefer a different option, come into a supine variation lying down on your back, bringing the left heel over onto the right quadricep. This might be enough for you depending on how tight you are into your hips, or lift up the right leg, reach through, catch the hamstring, rest your head, and start to settle into a reclined pigeon pose. It honestly does not matter where you are. We're looking to feel sensation into the left hip and also into that left glute. It doesn't matter if you're up slightly, whether you're on your hands or down to your forearms or resting your head on a bolster, but I do invite you to soften your shoulders so that they're not up around your ears, and then do your best to melt down and soften. So keeping your eyes closed, again, what can you notice about how the breath is traveling through your body in this shape? This shape can be quite challenging. And again, it's up to us to choose to soften our body in this pose. Remember that no matter what goes on around us, sometimes it can be super challenging, sometimes it can be super confronting, and sometimes it can be downright awful. But in every situation that unfolds, we always have a choice as to how we see it. So any time when we feel tension arise in our bodies, that is our first sign that we are being triggered. I invite you to take a huge breath in to tell your nervous system and your brain that we are safe, that it is okay. And from that place, you then arrive to presence, to make a choice to choose compassion and kindness to yourself in that situation. We need our sympathetic nervous system 100%. We need to protect ourselves sometimes. We need to run when we need to run. We need to fight when we need to fight. But we do not need to be in our stress state over 150 times a day, which is what the research tells us. By doing that, we keep our nervous system in shutdown. Our digestive system doesn't play because our bodies are holding on to energy to help us run from the so-called threat. That could be a text message or an email, a conversation, an appointment that we've got 4 hours later. So presence is our key to regulating our nervous system and keeping us in our parasympathetic so that we can make a kind and compassionate choice as to whatever unfolds in front of us. Take 5 more breaths here. So take 1 more full breath in and stay for your exhale. So if you're in pigeon pose like Joe and I are, roll onto your left hip. And from this position, swing your right leg around. Those of you, if you're on your back, please take your time to come up to seated. There is no rush. Beautiful. So we're going to visit another forward fold. Now, if the forward folding is not for you, of course you can do this against a wall by scooting yourself into a wall and letting your legs open up into a straddle on the wall. So from this position, both legs come out into a straddle position. I like to use a bolster to start. And again, if you need to roll the mat up underneath your tush, then please do that so that you can allow the pelvis to tilt forward if, again, your adductors are quite tight. So from this position, they're going to pop the bolster out in front. We're only going to be here for a couple of minutes. What's the time? It's 11:30. Oh, perfect. So from here, we take an inhale, and then on our exhale, folding forward. Now, if you're really tight, you can hug the bolster like this. Perfect. That's more than enough. You'll know where your space is, and then just allow the spine to round. And just give yourself permission. We're not here for too long, but our adductors, our inner thighs, our hips and our hamstrings, right? In the world we live in today, they can get so tight because we sit in chairs a lot, we drive cars, we sit in couches. Little joke there. And we can shorten these muscles, and when we shorten these, they're going to put a lot of tension on our low back. So what we need to do is find some length in them as often as possible. So be where you need to be, allow yourself to soften rather than hold the tension, and just give yourself permission to soften. No cows today. So there's this old Zen story, right? And the story is too old for me to remember which village that they were riding through. But a gentleman was riding through this village on his horse. And he was creating like a lot of noise and a lot of stir and, galloping like through the village at top speed. So all of the locals have been, coming out into their front porches and watching this local ride at top speed on his horse through the village. And of course the curiosity got the better of one man, who eventually yelled out to the horseman. He says, "Sir, where are you going so fast?" And the man on the horse replied back with, "I don't know. Ask the horse." So in a world where things travel so quickly, we are constantly feeling pressured to be busy or to strive or to perfect. We can be constantly caught in fight or flight, constantly going to the next thing, constantly wanting more. This energy creates stress in our bodies. We can feel like we're being controlled by our environment, when really it should be the other way around. So if we feel that our horse has gotten the better of us and is taking us on a wild goose chase of overwhelm, stress, exhaustion and tension, it is up to us to return back to our bodies and take control of the horse. It starts with your breath, it starts with being aware, and it starts with making a kind choice. So take 5 more breaths here. Just let yourself surrender. The more that we can tune into our bodies, the more that we can understand it is what they need. Rumi once said, when we are quiet, we are able to hear. Take 1 more breath in and stay for the exhale. Please, super slow. Use the strength in your hands to push up. If you're on the wall, very gently just bend your knees and slowly roll to the side and pause. If you are in a straddle, there is no rush to lie down to your back. So just taking some time here to pause as we find ourselves down onto our back, just to rebound from that position. So transition super slow. It's normal to feel about 100 years old in here. You can either bend your knees, or if it feels nice, you can extend the legs out. There's no right or wrong. And just take about 3 to 4 really deep breaths here. Noticing everything about what you can feel. So those of you who did recline pigeon on your back, then I invite you to make sure that you actually bring the other knee up this time. So making sure that you're pressing down with that left foot, and you'll bring the right knee across this time if you're in supine. For those of you who did your pigeon pose, feel free to roll up, bringing the right knee over to the right wrist, extending the left leg back, and then coming down to your version of your pigeon pose, and totally different hip. You might find that you'll have a lot more space on this side, or maybe not. Both answers are okay. There's no wrong or right. So let ourselves be okay with where we're at, and then just allow yourself to surrender to what is, and enjoy the space for the next 3 minutes or so. Give your body permission to receive. About halfway. So taking about another 8 or so breaths here. Noticing if you need to back it off a little bit, back it off. Let go of the striding, the pushing. Just relax your body. Let yourself be held. And come back to your breathing. So when we release tension in our body, specifically the connective tissue and fascia, it's one of the quickest ways, again, to reset our nervous system from our doing, from our busyness, from our striving or pushing or overwhelm, to actually tell our body and our nervous system we're in repair mode. We can relax, we can be calm, we can be at ease. So you might have noticed already by this stage that your mind has shifted. There might be a little bit more space in the thoughts, and you might feel a sense of gentleness and compassion move over your body. So just enjoying this feeling now. Let yourself be held in this feeling for about 3 more breaths in this pose. Take 1 more full breath in. And your breath out. Those of you on your backs, just stay through pigeon roll to your right. And we're all going to meet on our backs. What's the time? Perfect. So we'll come down to our backs, just a very simple spinal twist, so lying down. Now, you can either keep both the knees bent and both soles of the feet on the floor, hip distance apart, arms out to a T, and let the knees just flop to the right, up to the left. Or, if you would like a little bit more, feel free to draw your right knee over the top, and you can extend that left leg long, or whatever feels good for you, and then allowing both the shoulder blades to rest down on the ground, come into your version of a supine twist. With your head, I've got my head obviously facing the camera so you can hear me, but if you would like to, you can actually turn your head to the right. But if that causes you any issues in your neck or it doesn't feel right, then just let your head be wherever it needs to be. So of course, one of the first things that we notice when we're stressed is our digestion. You'll notice you get bloated, you'll notice you won't be able to go to the bathroom, you'll notice the stomach will feel like it's in knots, right? That's because our nervous system, when we are in fight or flight, our digestive system temporarily shuts down. So our twists are a really great space to create a bit of an internal massage for the digestive system and to help get things moving again. So I know it's not appropriate to twist everywhere when we're in our day-to-day life, but we can pause and we can breathe deep. Even just by the breath alone, again, it sends a neural message from our gut to our brain to tell us that it's okay to relax and to reflect a sense of calm and ease. Take 1 more breath in and a breath out. Very slowly come back up through center and pause. And only when you feel ready, just let your knees flop to the other side. Both the shoulder blades stay on the ground, and maybe that top leg goes over, maybe it doesn't, that's your choice. And allow your scapula to feel like concrete. You know, so often our shoulders, they take so much load and overuse into all of those upper back muscles, the trapezius, the infraspinatus, the subscap, even the rhomboids, and we get so extremely overused in this area, which creates a sense of hunching. It also creates a sense of feeling closed and rigid. So let your whole body just melt. I invite you to take 1 more full breath in and stay for the exhale. Very, very slowly start to bring yourself back up to center. Reach around, find your bolster or your cushion and slide it underneath your knees. Let your heels rest down onto the ground. Let your whole upper back be supported. And from here, start to let the hands flop by the side of the body. The shoulders are open and away from the ears and the fingertips gently curled. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. As you take this time to land into your final shape. In yoga, we call this samadhi bliss. Give yourself permission to receive. If you have the opportunity to spend more time in this space, please do. If not, I invite you to very, very gently return back to your body by breathing a little deeper as you invite in this next breath with compassion. And breathe out. Start to exhale with a sense of curiosity as to what can unfold from this moment forward. So breathe in how you want to feel. What energy do you want to carry with you today? And breathe out, let go of anything that holds that back. Start to wriggle your toes and your fingers. I like to move my neck side to side, and then I really love to just reach really long like I'm waking up for the first time today. Point the toes, squeeze the quads, have a really nice full body stretch. And then just gently rolling to your left. So as you do, you can keep the bolster out from underneath you. And just pause for a moment in gratitude. So take a moment to say thank you to your body in case you haven't done that yet today. For this incredible vehicle that we have to explore, to be curious, to play, to do yoga, to breathe. And then take a moment just to appreciate just having the ability just to get up today, to have this moment, to share, and to feel into what it feels like to come from a place of compassion, love, and kindness. When you feel ready, gently come up to seated. There's no rush. And just sharing a quote today from one of my favorite teachers of all time, Lao Tzu. And he said, "Watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your character. And your character becomes your destiny." Gently bring the thumbs to the third eye, honoring yourself, because we cannot pour from an empty cup. Taking a moment to feel that gratitude, that love and compassion, and let it radiate out of you today. Namaste. Thanks, Joe. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate you jumping on with us for that. Take time to practice yin as often as you can. Use your furry friends, use the space we have. Enjoy the practice, and thank you for jumping on.